Welcome back, everybody. It's a brand new episode of 5 Minute Majors. I'm your host, Derek Harper. Let's get right into it. Not too much news per se over the past week, but more so some exciting announcements from teams around the WHL, specifically the Spokane Chiefs and the Wenatchee Wild, who are entering their second season in the WHL. Congratulations to them. This week we're going to talk about kind of what happens with teams when they lose those key players for an extended period of time. We'll start off the preseason because a lot of players right now are being invited to camps, and so kind of with that, um, those teams have to do without those star players, so they have to kind of focus on how those younger players can develop, and what the future could really hold for their team. And so that's kind of the exciting aspect of that is they get the opportunity to see, okay, what does the future maybe hold here? Um, and there's another time that happens as well when the World Junior Championship happens. The teams lose their really star players that are representing their home countries at that tournament, wherever it may be held around the world. And so you get that time in the middle of the year too, where those younger, more inexperienced players get to step up in regular season action, which is pretty exciting for them as well. We'll go over a few players here that have been invited to their camps or signed entry level deals. The Chiefs saw 5 players invited to camps. Berkeley Catton with the Seattle Kraken. He was drafted 8th overall in this year's draft. Dawson Cowan, goalie. He'll be heading to the San Jose Sharks. Nathan Mays heading to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Will McIsaac, St. Louis Blues. And Sage Weinstein, Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are a very interesting team with the WHL, specifically the Wild and the Chiefs, in that they have quite a few players from those teams. So we're going to go into the Wild. They're going into their second season here, which is pretty exciting for them. They have a handful of players as well. With a couple graduates, Graham Sword, he's going to the Winnipeg Jets camp, and Bradley Wood, he's going to the Colorado Avalanche camp. But current players, Kenta Isogai, he's going to the Florida Panthers. Josh Fluker, he's also going to the Colorado Avalanche. And Miles Cooper, Colorado Avalanche. So it's kind of interesting that the ads are getting all these players, or at least working them out in camp. But I think that's really a testimony to the WHL, specifically the U.S. division and the Western Conference right now. Granted, some of those players were part of the trades for the 2 stars that the Wild had to give up to restock their cupboards with picks. But still, I mean, it goes to show that the U.S. division knows how to handle talent, that teams out there know each other. They trust each other to handle the players well. But I think it also speaks for how competitive the U.S. division is going to be this year. And I think fans should be really, really excited for that because it shows that this season could be ultra competitive. I mean, you have Gavin McKenna with the Medicine Hat Tigers, and you have Berkeley Catton, who may or may not stick in the NHL right now. He's on the Kraken's main roster, so we'll see what happens there. He has signed his entry level contract, so it appears that he will be sticking with the team. But as for everybody else, we'll see there. Connor Bedard is an example of success that has come out of the WHL. He spent time with the Regina Pats. And I think it just speaks to the development and the progressiveness of teams getting better on the ice with how much talent the Wild and the Chiefs have. I mean, with NHL camps. I mean, that's about 10 players, including former players that are going to camps. If you take out the former players, that's about 8. So that's pretty impressive. And I think those teams should be applauded for that. But it just goes to show that the major junior circuit is one of the best developmental ranks in the world, really. And then even and like I said in the past episode, is even if these players don't go on to play professionally in the NHL, they could land in the ECHL or the American Hockey League, which is just one step below the NHL. And you also got to think about all the other professional leagues in the world. The KHL, that's another one that players will go to kind of flame out in North America. The SPHL, it's really low ranks in the U.S., but that still exists there. So that's another rank that they could go to. But let's touch on Berkeley Catton for a second. Incredible player. He had the honor of being named the U.S. Division's Player of the Year this year at the end of the season. He joins elite company of Sidney Crosby, Bedard, and Patrick Kane of being the only CHL skaters to put up 50 or more goals and 115 or more points in their draft season this century. And I mean, we've had players like Oliver Bjorkstrand, but I mean, Berkeley Catton is right up there with these guys. And Bjorkstrand, props to him, still in the NHL, a key player for the NHL Seattle Kraken. That's just more talent. I mean, you look also at the National Predators, who they just traded away a couple. Ryan Johansson, he's been kind of bouncing around these days, but he played with the Portland Winterhawks. Cody Glass too, that same franchise. He's now with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I mean, you got to look at the National Predators recognize that talent. Just trying to figure out some teams here: the Kraken, the Blue Jackets, the San Jose Sharks with Luca Cagnoni. I mean, it just goes. The list could go on and on. So I think this is just a testament again to the major junior hockey level and how these players choose that rank to develop their skills and hopefully pursue professional careers. I will see you next week.